Imagine a world where the brightest minds, geniuses who shaped the atom, conquered space, and revolutionized technology, flocked to one nation, transforming it into a global powerhouse. This is the electrifying story of how the United States became a magnet for the world's greatest talent. A tale of ambition, opportunity, and controversy that Boardroom Secrets unveils with gripping intensity. From war-torn Europe to modern-day Silicon Valley, we'll dive into the forces that lured scientists, innovators, and dreamers to America's shores, and explore the profound impact and hidden costs of this global brain drain. Buckle up for a journey through history, power, and human brilliance that's as inspiring as it is unsettling. In the early 20th century, Europe was the epicenter of scientific discovery. Giants like John von Neumann, Albert Einstein, Enrico Fermi, Edward Teller, and Theodore von Karman, names that echo through history, were reshaping physics, mathematics, and engineering. But as dark clouds gathered over Europe, these titans of intellect faced a stark choice: stay and risk persecution, or flee to a land of promise. That land? The United States. The rise of Nazi Germany in the 1930s sparked a seismic exodus. Scientists, especially those of Jewish descent, faced harassment, imprisonment, or worse. Einstein, already a global icon, fled Germany in 1933 after his books were burned and his life threatened. Fermi, whose wife was Jewish, escaped Italy's fascist racial laws in 1938. By 1941, over 1,150 Jewish scientists had crossed the Atlantic, including 7 future Nobel laureates. Their arrival wasn't just a migration, it was a transfusion of genius that would change the world. World War II was the catalyst, but the story runs deeper. The US offered more than safety. It promised freedom to innovate, vast resources, and a culture that celebrated bold ideas. Picture this. In 1930s Germany, physics was unrivaled, the gold standard of scientific excellence. American students like Isidore Rabi and J. Robert Oppenheimer crossed oceans to study under legends like Max Born. But as Hitler's regime crushed intellectual freedom, the balance shifted. The US seized the moment, welcoming these minds with open arms. Their contributions were staggering, none more so than the Manhattan Project, the top-secret effort that birthed the atomic bomb. Fermi, Teller, and others brought expertise that tipped the scales, ensuring America's victory in the race for the ultimate weapon. Yet their impact went beyond bombs. These immigrants became mentors, inspiring generations of American scientists. Enrico Fermi alone guided 6 future Nobel winners, while Hans Bethe mentored 4. This ripple effect built a scientific legacy that endures today. But the story doesn't end with World War II. Enter Operation Paperclip, a covert US mission that's equal parts brilliant and controversial. After the Nazi regime collapsed in 1945, the US and Soviet Union scrambled to claim Germany's scientific talent. These weren't just academics. They were engineers and rocket scientists, like Wernher von Braun, the mastermind behind the V-2 rocket and later NASA's Apollo program. From 1945 to 1959, over 1,600 German experts were secretly brought to America, some with murky pasts tied to the Nazi war machine. Facing prosecution or prison in Europe, they chose to work for the US, fueling the space race and Cold War arms race. Von Braun's genius helped land humans on the moon in 1969, a triumph that cemented America's dominance. But at what cost? Critics argue Operation Paperclip whitewashed war crimes, raising ethical questions that linger today. Boardroom Secrets doesn't shy away from the truth. This was a calculated move to secure supremacy, no matter the moral gray areas. The brain drain didn't stop with Europe. After the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, the U.S. opened its doors to talent from Asia, dismantling discriminatory quotas and prioritizing skilled professionals. The result? A flood of brilliance from China, India, and the Philippines. By the 1970s, nearly 5,000 Asian doctors arrived annually, dwarfing Europe's 911. Chinese immigrants, now the 3rd largest immigrant group in the U.S., make up 28% of the global Chinese diaspora. Indian talent dominates tech, with leaders like Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai steering Microsoft and Google. In Silicon Valley, 69% of tech workers are immigrants, 26% from India, 14% from China, and 29% from other Asian nations like Vietnam and the Philippines. Consider the story of Jensen Huang, who fled Taiwan as a child and later founded NVIDIA, now a cornerstone of AI innovation. His journey embodies the American dream, but it also highlights Asia's loss. The Philippines offers a unique case. After the U.S. colonized the islands in 1898, it established nursing schools teaching Western medicine in English. By the 1960s, 150,000 Filipino nurses had arrived in America, making up 4% of the nation's registered nurses, 20% in states like California. This lifeline for U.S. healthcare came at a price. The Philippines now faces its own nursing shortage. Similarly, Latin America's brain drain is stark. In Venezuela, political turmoil under Hugo Chavez and Nicolás Maduro drove over 1.5 million people abroad, 90% with college degrees, 40% with masters, and 12% with PhDs. Venezuela's top universities lost hundreds of professors, crippling their academic systems. In Mexico, 1/3 of its 30,000 PhDs live in the U.S. Even Caribbean nations like Jamaica and Haiti see over 80% of their graduates leave, mostly for America. What makes the U.S. so magnetic? It's not just safety or money. It's the ecosystem. Elite universities like MIT, Stanford, and Harvard draw global talent, offering world-class education and networks. Silicon Valley's venture capital scene, managing $271 billion compared to Europe's $44 billion, fuels bold ideas. Failure is a badge of honor in the U.S., where investors embrace risk. In contrast, Europe's cautious funding and bureaucratic red tape, complex regulations and high taxes stifle startups. Take the Collison brothers, Irish prodigies who studied at Harvard and MIT before founding Stripe, a $50 billion tech unicorn. Or consider French tech giants like Ansys and Dataiku, which relocated to the US for tax breaks in a dynamic market. These moves signal a harsh truth. Europe's losing its edge. Yet the flow isn't one way. Europe's lower cost of living, social progress, and work-life balance attract some Americans. 24,000 now live in the Netherlands, 34,000 in Spain. Europe's startup scene is fighting back, with venture capital tripling since 2003. Still, the U.S. remains the ultimate destination, its promise of opportunity unmatched. But as China and Russia compete for talent, and Europe strengthens its innovation hubs, can America maintain its lead? Boardroom Secrets leaves you with a provocative question. In the global race for brilliance, is the U.S. building a brighter future or draining the world's potential? The answer lies in the stories of those who crossed oceans, chasing dreams that changed history.